In this video, we're going to talk about how agencies are probably leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table because they're not doing this one thing. Now, watch until the end of this video because I'm going to give you secret sauce that the top agencies are currently doing. And the one thing I want to talk about is scaling up your AI agency with a weekly newsletter. And most people are currently doing this wrong. So first, I'm going to go into why you should actually run this newsletter. For how you're currently acquiring clients, you're probably paying for every single lead that comes through the door. Whether it's ads, whether it's outreach or referrals, none of this is free. And the problem is that most leads do not buy on the first call. Some might need 30 days, some might need 90, and then some might just be sitting on the fence for 6 months waiting for the timing to be right or the budget to open up. Without a system to constantly stay in their subconscious during that window, you lose deals that you already paid for. And most agencies right now, even if they're running paid ads funnel, they're essentially just hoping for that one call close. And then afterwards, there's no mechanism to reinitiate that lead, or that same lead would opt into your ad again, maybe 3 or 6 months down the line, and completely forget what your company does. You have to restart the nurture sequence. And by doing this, you're going to leave a lot of money on the table simply from the fact that you're only relying on one call closes in order to close the deals. And for most people, it might take a little bit of time. They might need to consume a little bit more content. And that's why right now we're living through a trust recession. Trust recession essentially means that the human-to-human trust has been the lowest it's ever been in history. And they need a lot more content or written content in order to actually buy your service. So first, I want to talk about the newsletter is that system and keeps your agency at top of mind during the not yet window. And whenever they're finally ready to move forward, you're the only name they remember. So first, I want to state that the newsletter not only just nurtures your leads currently in the pipeline, but also it increases your enterprise value whenever you do decide to sell. Because some people can run a newsletter and sell it, and that's a whole entire business of itself. And by having a large email list of people within your ICP, PE firms or anybody looking to acquire your agency one day will take a look at the newsletter or take a look at where your source of traffic is coming from, and you're getting a lot higher exit multiple. And attached an overview here of one of the companies, essentially Morning Brew. They got acquired in October 2020 for $75 million valuation. And all Morning Brew was essentially a newsletter. And they got acquired for $75 million. So your email list is the only audience you truly own. And with everything, Instagram might show your post to 1% of the followers on a good day. YouTube depends its algorithm to surface this content. Maybe you see this video, maybe you don't. Email is different. Whenever you send it, it lands in inbox if you have everything configured correctly on demand and every single time. And no other platforms can throttle that. Email is the only thing that you can actually own. And with that, every subscriber that opens your emails is basically a relationship you're building independent of any platform. And with that, what happens is you can also do bulk outreach with your newsletter. Instead of doing one-on-one calls or one-on-one sales calls, you can essentially address all the objections that might come up. You can address any authority questions and basically show who you are without having to jump on thousands, if not tens of thousands of one-on-one calls. And you could essentially send on Tuesday and know that 35% of your list will see it that day. Try doing this with any other social medias, you probably can't get the same results. So here's what goes into a newsletter. Everybody that's ever touched your agency or heard about your agency gets enrolled. So there's no exception. So here's the logic. Basically, new leads have already shown interest. That interest doesn't disappear just because they didn't book immediately. So existing clients that need to feel the value of staying, this newsletter reinforces why they made the right call. Churn clients that already know the product, reactivating them costs $0 ad dollars, and they have a reason to come back. Cold outreach replies, even the not interested ones, represent a person who at least read the message. So your newsletter doesn't discriminate. Anybody that's ever touched and opted into your agency in any capacity needs to be enrolled. Now let's talk about the cadence. So you send 1 to 2 newsletters per week. This is the right cadence of where your agency should be right now. At scale, top operators, they'll send 3 to 5, but any more than 1 to 2, you're basically running a whole side business on its own. And the frequency works because you have a large content engine behind it. And right now, consistency is more important than frequency. So just try to get one well-written email out every single week, and that will beat 3 really terrible newsletters that you send out. So pick your days and just lock them in. Usually I do all my content scheduling for Sundays, and you just schedule it for the week. And what happens if you skip? So without context and without your newsletter interacting with you, you're going to slowly lose trust. If you're constantly in the top of mind and you're constantly on top of their inbox, they're going to know you as a person, they're going to know you as a company, and they're more likely to trust you. So skipping in the beginning doesn't feel like a big deal, but over 6 months, it's the difference between a list that actually converts and a list that actually goes cold. So there's 2 content types that I want you to include in your newsletters. So both serve the same goal, move the lead closer to booking a call or buying your service, but they do it differently. The first content is basically authority content. So here, for example, for us, we want to establish ourselves as an AI SEO authority for agencies, and every email should essentially make the reader feel smart after they read it. So they should walk away thinking that I learned something new that I could use. So good topics for authority emails really depends on what niche you are. But for example, GBP ranking factors, if I'm in the AI SEO niche and what moves the needle in 2025 and 2026, AI search visibility, how to actually show up for like ChatGPT, LLM search, NAP, consistency, reviews management, citations, common agency mistakes with GBP, industry news and what it means for agencies and local businesses. The format for authority content is essentially 1 insight, 1 tactic, 1 CTA. And keep this within 300, 600 words, but you could have longer to be more valuable and short enough to read within 3 minutes as well. So you can split test this. And you have to be very specific in terms of the tone. You need authority in the space, so real numbers, real examples, and real results. Next, let's talk about the social proof. So this is the most high converting content you could create for your newsletters. So this includes anything related to testimonials, win screenshots, or any case study emails. Let's say you don't have any testimonials in the beginning. You could basically do a case study on a certain company that's killing it in the local space, and this will outperform any educational content when it comes to moving fence sitters to action. So the proof and the goal of a social proof email is simple: make the subscriber feel like not using your agency is a mistake they're making right now. So anything related to before and after stories, win screenshots with context, client quotes with results attached is good value emails. And it should follow the same structure every single time. So the problem, then the result of what's changed, and then the CTA. Don't skip straight to a result. And then you should aim for at least 1 social proof email per week or every 2 weeks. It can be standalone or be appended as like a quick win story. And now let's talk about the actual newsletter structure that you could just basically follow. So subject line, this is the only difference between you and an open. So make this personal. You need to go ahead and write it very specifically. So you don't want to just have a March newsletter or February 24th, for example, a newsletter. So example of this is the 1 GBP category change that moved the client from page 3 to number 1. Social proof from 0 GBP clients to 8 in 3 weeks, what Jay did differently, right? Something like that. Opening hook, keep it 1 to 2 sentences. Tell the reader what they're going to get in this email. The body, this is the content. So this is where your social proof stories or authority insight comes in. Write in short paragraphs, maybe 2 to 4 sentences per paragraph, 1 idea per paragraph. 1 takeaway. Make this bold, make it scannable. This is the one thing that the reader should know or do or remember afterwards. And this should be 1 sentence, not 3. So just one thing. And then have your call to action. So whether you have call to action is basically like a conversion mechanism. So they can either book a call with your team, they can either download something else, they can either buy your digital product, they could subscribe to a low ticket offer, they could convert to your webinar. You need 1 call to action per email. Usually if you're running call booking funnel, I'll just go ahead and attach the calendar there. And then sign off, talk soon, your name, simple, personal, consistent. And then 1 PS that I would do after, hey, you can reply to this email for any questions that you have with what I covered today. And this increases your deliverability across newsletter platforms. So if your deliverability goes up, your open rates, click-through rates, everything will go up as well. Section 5, who gets enrolled? I talked about this before. And then when do they actually get enrolled? So make sure that every single person that gets enrolled in newsletter actually opted in, or else you'll be doing something illegal. So new lead magnet opt-ins enrolled immediately. If they booked a call, whether showed or no showed, you enroll them after the call is scheduled. You can also choose to basically, if a lead opts in, you just send them and enroll them into a newsletter. It's usually what we do. Existing clients get enrolled, churn clients, cold outreach reply. If they give you their email, then actually get the opt-in, and that's fully legal. You could go ahead and opt them into a newsletter. And then school community member, make sure you just make the opt-ins pretty clear, right? So any single person that goes into the funnel in any way, you need to enroll them. So you could have tags in case you want to send it out to different segments of the market, but I would just enroll every single person. And one thing I want to cover here is like churn clients are also going to be enrolled because it's the cheapest reacquisition opportunity that you have. They already know you, they use your product. We don't have to sell them a service from scratch. Sometimes a client churns because of like budget or anything like that, but they want to see more wins of clients that you have. So that way, having churn clients in the list is pretty important as well. Now let's talk about the metrics to track. So basically, number 1 is the open rate. So anything above 35% is pretty strong. And open rate tells you if your subject lines are essentially working and whether your list is still warm. So if somebody has never opened your email within, like, let's say the past 60 days, I'll go ahead and just unsubscribe them from the email. So we could have a better relationship with our platform that does all the newsletters. If it drops below 25%, something's probably off, whether it's like the subject line, sending frequency, or then like you're not cleaning the list properly. Click-through rate, anything above 3%, obviously the higher the better. But with this, like any click, you can also track and basically send a personal follow-up from you or your team. There's different softwares to do that. And then replies, this is a high signal metric. Any reply basically means a warm lead. They might reply something like, how does this work? And then they're engaged enough to tie something back. So every reply gets a human response every single day. Unsubscribe, try to keep that as minimal as possible. Anything below 0.3% per send is pretty good. And the thing is, like with unsubscribe, sometimes it's good. It cleans the list and keeps deliverability pretty high. But if you see anything above like 1% on a single send, just review the content. It might be too salesy or off-brand. And then any churn subscribers who open 3 or more consecutive issues get a personal direct outreach from your team. So if you notice that they're constantly opening up the emails, that's a buying signal. So now let's talk about the long game. So here's the part that most people miss. Every newsletter issue is a permanent asset. So with all of this, all the work you put in is not only going to be like a one-time broadcast, it's going to be a replayable trust building sequence that every single new lead walks through immediately, right? So this builds up over time. So subscribers have been nurtured for 6 months or more will close at a higher rate. And they'll sign up for more GBP locations for our example. They'll churn less or refer more, and they already trust the thinking before they ever hop on the call. So you're going to get probably 10 to 20x more clients just by running a newsletter. And you need to be on all sorts of different platforms, right? So the newsletter will convert the YouTube audience. The YouTube content would give the newsletter material. They just feed off one another. So you really need to have your newsletter, but also be producing long form content as well. And how do you really do this at scale? There's one way where you could basically segment out the list. So whether it's like for clients, new leads, or you book the call leads. But for the most part, I just highly recommend keeping it all at one. And next, I want to talk about how your newsletter is a business asset. So it's not necessarily just building a newsletter and nurturing old leads. Like I mentioned before, media companies are literally built on email lists that regularly sell for 3 to 5x annual revenue. An agency with 10,000 engaged subscribers is worth more than one without it. So this is an asset of your business where if you want to exit one day, you're going to increase the value. And PE firms, anybody looking to acquire you, will take a look and they're going to give you a higher exit multiple because a newsletter can just be a completely different business on its own. Like I mentioned in Morning Brew, they sold for 75 million, right? On top of whatever services and recurring services you have, your value as a company is going to go up much higher. And even with the newsletter, you can also have ways to basically liquidate some ad spend. For example, a newsletter with 5,000 subs, 40% open rate, sending 2x per week with a $500 per month sponsorship, that's $6,000 a year. At a 3x multiple, that's $18,000 in just standalone value, just from the newsletter alone. And that's not even talking about your upsells to your agency services. And at scale, they could go anywhere from 20,000 plus subscribers. They could go from 500 to 2.5K per send. And this is just a second revenue stream that basically doesn't require you to deliver any more client work. It's pure margin. And the agencies that acquire at these premium multiples have distribution. So newsletter is a distribution. Start building it now, because if you're not, you're essentially going to leave money on the table. And all the leads that don't buy from the first call, you're basically just burning money at this point. So make sure you have a weekly newsletter. It goes out to your entire list, and you're going to close a lot more deals from that way. Whether it's 3 months or 6 months down the line, you're going to close a lot more deals. And you have the EV that can back it up. So if you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next video.